Hi everybody, my name is Adam Talamy and welcome to another edition of the Hero Process. And today we're going to be talking about how to find and live your life purpose. So how to find and then live your life purpose. Because actually some people who have been through the process might say that actually finding it's the easy part. Although that seems to be the part most people are struggling with. But actually once you know what it is, then actually it tends to be something that both excites you and also scares you, sometimes in equal measure. And the reason for that is because it tends to be something quite big. And a lot of people, even once they know what it is, and actually when I sit down with a coaching client and they say, I just don't know what my life purpose is, how would I find that out? For most people, not all, but for most people, with just a few very simple and direct questions, you can kind of bring it to the fore. And people are always amazed, and halfway, 5 minutes in, they're telling me, well, actually, yeah, I would really love to do that. And yeah, that's always been a passion of mine. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me that before? So actually most people kind of know really what their life purpose is, even if they haven't kind of drilled it down to clarify it specifically, but they have an idea. And that tends to be, the thing for you to look out for if you don't know your life purpose yet, is what would really excite you if, you had limitless money, if you weren't afraid of it, and if you could have anything, what would be the thing that would really pull at you? Because essentially that's what it is. It's kind of like, what's your biggest dream? It's often exactly the same thing. So if you don't know your life purpose yet, my suggestion would be sit down with a piece of paper and write 2 lists. The first list should be answering the question, what is my life purpose? It doesn't get much more simple, right? And what I want you to do is to do a stream of consciousness. And what I mean by that is you're just going to get your pen or pencil, you're going to write that question at the top, what is my life purpose? And you're just going to start to write. And you're just going to let whatever comes through onto the piece of paper. Don't worry if it's right or wrong, just let it all kind of almost spill out of you. And you might write a lot of drivel, a lot of nonsense, but there will also be some pearls of wisdom in there. So that would be a great place to start. Then I would suggest, if you still don't have clarity at the end of that, then I'd write the second list. And that would be, what is my dream? What is my biggest dream? And then just start to write down everything that you would like to do in life and really have some fun with it. You can think really big. It could be, I'd love a big house. It could be, I'd love that Ferrari car that I keep seeing down the road every day. It could be anything like that, but just keep writing, again, stream of consciousness. And then often with the stream of consciousness, you get to the end of what you think, you can possibly think of and write, and you're thinking that there's nothing else. And then at the end, I want you then to write down 2 or 3 more things, because sometimes the actual thing will drop out right at the end there. Once you've done your lists, then what I want you to do is to maybe walk away for 5 minutes, take a breath, and then come back and then just scan through the lists and just see what are the things on there that really excite you the most. Because the chances are that even if they're not the thing, even if they're not the big life purpose, they are going to take you in the direction of that purpose. And for me, the initial thing that I always used to get was I just want success. And for me back in the day, that meant money, it meant building a company, and it meant having more success, quite literally, in my business. So even if it's a success or money or a new car that is the thing that really grabs you from your list, my suggestion to you would be work with that initially. Make that your goal, because it will take you to where you need to go. For me personally, wanting more success pushed me to grow my business. It pushed me to go on lots of personal development type courses and workshops, and to really start a journey of kind of self-discovery. And it brought me ultimately to where I am today, where I am living my bigger purpose. And my bigger purpose is drumroll, is to inspire 100 million plus people to change their lives and to give them all the tools that they need to do that. So that's really what the Hero Press is about. That's what this program is about. And I like to think that I'm really living that, even if I haven't achieved the 100 million at the moment. It still seems huge and a little bit scary. But back in the day, I probably couldn't have even contemplated that. So what does the universe do? It gives you success. Let's go for success, you know. And obviously, one of my biggest challenges, biggest fears and blocks has been fear of being seen, and that included public speaking. So, to have success, I had to work on my public speaking for my business. And eventually I went on Toastmasters, which is, if you don't know it, is a very, very useful association that helps you to do public speaking. And they're all over the world. They're very affordable. There's probably one in your local town. And I went to that for 7 months and really worked on my kind of fear of public speaking. And I could never back then have imagined that I'd be doing videos and posting things onto YouTube, etc. I didn't even want to really be seen. So it really did take me in the right direction, and I'm sure it will do the same for you. I've seen that happen with some of my coaching clients also. Now, that said, you may get clarity straight away. You may get, okay, so I'm really interested in, nutrition, and I'd really like to help people to improve their diet. So I'm going to launch some sort of community group, and that will be really rewarding to me. That would be fantastic. And you might not know how to start that, how to do it, but you've got to get out there and learn. And that's the second part. That's living your life purpose. Now, living your life purpose is actually, as I said, can be a lot harder for most people than actually finding out what it is. And look, why is it hard to find out what your life purpose is? Well, the truth is most of us have an idea. Not all, but most of us do. But we won't let ourselves see it. Now, why would we do that to ourselves, right? Because surely that's the big goal. Well, the answers can be manifold, and one of them would be, you possibly don't feel you deserve to be living your dream, to be living your life purpose. Another one would be, well, yeah, that's all fine, but I've got bills to pay, I've got a family to feed, and I can't give up the day job. And by the way, it might not mean that you need to give up the day job, but it can do sometimes. So, there are often very practical reasons that people will bring up as blocks. And those can be conscious or unconscious. So it can be, I just couldn't afford to do it. I don't have the money to do that or the resources. So, people will shelve it completely. But it can be unconscious. And when it's unconscious, in a way, that's harder because you might not even realize that is your dream. So that's what my belief is. That's what state most people live in. And because there's fears and doubts and insecurities about really stepping into that big life, then most people never ever go for it. So how do you overcome that? There are two more things that you need to do. And one is you need to take small practical steps towards living your goal, towards living your life purpose. And the second is that you need to go inside and clear the sometimes conscious, emotional and mental blocks that we all have. So let me give you a really basic example. I mean, it's not going to be many people's life purpose, but it illustrates the point very well. So let's say that you believe your life purpose is to become a rock star, okay? Now, to become a rock star, you need to either be a good musician or you need to be able to sing. Now, if you can't do either of those things, then the chances are you're going to need to take some action. You're going to need to go and have some singing lessons, or you need to go and have guitar lessons, or whatever it might be. So those would be practical actions towards your goal. You might need to then form a band or advertise or join someone else's band. So, clearly with most of these things, especially your big dreams and life purpose, there are going to be things you need to go out and do. Now, if you're living in a state of fear or or those things feel absolutely terrifying to you right now, or you have no idea how you would go about it even, then clearly there's some internal stuff you need to address. And the process that I teach, the Feel It process, will help you to do that. And there are lots of tools out there. It's not just the Feel It process, please understand. There are lots of healers, coaches who have really good tools which will help you identify what's blocking you and then to clear it. So there really isn't any excuse other than those hidden unconscious fears which stop us, self-sabotage us before we even get going. And that's where most people are living, oh, I don't know my life purpose, so I can't do it, or they don't even ever talk about it. They don't even think, on one level it's even a remote possibility that they could go and do it. So they never start, which is genius when you think about it. And I've totally been there, done it myself many times. And I'm sure these things sort of come to light as you move forward on the journey. So there's going to be loads of things and areas in my life that I'm still doing that with. But I'm working at it. And it isn't that you're going to crack it all in one go. This is an ongoing process for most people, and even once you start to live it, let's say, to go back to the rock star analogy, you're having singing lessons, and as you go, the band's going to start to get better, but then there are going to be issues within the band. There's going to be, you don't feel you're good enough, or an argument starts within the band, and rifts occur, or you don't think you're big enough to, or good enough to be on stage. So that also is going to be a big internal block that you're going to need to clear. Now, taking small steps and doing a small gig and building up to it that way is really practical, but it really helps if you can address the emotional stuff around it as well, because then what happens is, by clearing that path, you allow all these good opportunities and things to come to you much easier. Otherwise, it's kind of a bit of a struggle, and that's what I refer to as being kind of the new paradigm way of doing things. So the old paradigm is kind of how I grew up doing things. It's like, right, we've got to make it happen. We've got to work really hard. We're going to really push ourselves, and we're going to do this if it kills us. And I've heard so many people literally use those words, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's how I ended up having a bit of a burnout and a breakdown. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that make it happen approach. It doesn't lead everyone to that place, but it certainly did me. So the new paradigm is all about identifying what you want, clearing the blocks as you go, step by step. It doesn't have to be any sort of ginormous steps, so it doesn't have to be too overwhelming. And then as you go, you just clear the emotions that come up around each step. So it might be that you're not taking the step, you're not even booking in the lesson, the singing lesson, or booking in that first gig, because it just seems too overwhelming. It's kind of too crazy, where it's just, you're just never going to do it. So that's where something like the Feel It process comes in so handy, because what you then do is you start to clear those emotions, you chip away at them. And you get to a point where actually you feel you can book it now. And then, by the way, when you've really cleared enough, it then happens effortlessly. It's like, yeah, I can just book it. You pick the phone up, no problem. You do it in 2 minutes. Whereas you might have been sitting there for 2 days, sweating about it, feeling really uncomfortable and just like, oh, I just can't do it. Just leave me alone. The key is to give yourself permission to take the time to sit and clear your emotions. Otherwise you end up reverting back to old paradigm, pushing really hard, making it happen even when you are absolutely hating it. And that's not such a great way to live. So in terms of living your process ongoing, it kind of is an ongoing journey. It doesn't necessarily ever finish. Because again, to use the rock star analogy, let's say you're doing 1,000-person gigs and your band's doing great, but you want to take the next step and you want to reach an even bigger audience. You want to be on TV, you want to, I don't know, have a platinum selling record. So all of these things are going to require you to take additional steps and also clear the emotions around it. Do you feel good enough to be one of the most successful musicians ever? Do you really deep down, honestly, feel that you deserve that? And most people will immediately say, yeah, absolutely I do. I mean, all my coaching clients say, yeah, of course I want that. So I keep asking them, I keep asking the same question. And actually once they get the work, once they get that we have hidden blocks, then those come to the surface pretty quickly. And you know, we've all got self-doubt. All of us do not feel good enough. If not, in all areas of our life, then certainly in some. And when we come out of our comfort zone, not feeling good enough and feeling afraid and a bit insecure is going to be there, 100%. So then it's just a question of, are you aware, and do you have the tools to deal with that? The other key area to address when it comes to living your life purpose is you're going to need to find out what your beliefs are around that life purpose. So if you're fortunate enough to already know what it is that your life purpose is, then grab that notepad again, get a clean page, and at the top I want you to write the following. And it basically is, what are my beliefs regarding my life purpose? Okay, then I want you to again to do a stream of consciousness, spend a few minutes and just write down whatever it is that comes to mind. Doesn't matter how silly it feels to you at the time, and some of them might be spot on, some might not, but you'll kind of work it out as you get down to the bottom. So and it could be things like, for example, I don't deserve to have an incredible life, or who am I to have that level of success, or I'm not as good as a musician as so-and-so in that other band that we're kind of competing against or that we're aspiring to. Or it could be, if I have that sort of success, my friends might not like me anymore, or my family won't like me anymore because I'll be more successful than my dad, or than my sibling. And those things might sound a little bit trivial, but let me tell you, they really, really play out, and they're normally totally unconscious. I think with virtually all of my coaching clients who've really gone on to live their life purpose, we've had to look at all of those kind of areas. And at the start of the process, none of them were aware of them. I certainly wasn't in myself, and yet I can honestly, hand on heart, say I had pretty much all of those. Yeah, and look, as you may know, your beliefs are really powerful things. They really are going to dictate what happens in your external world. It's the phrase "as above, so below," which basically means what you believe inside is going to be reflected out in your wider world. And that's a spiritual truth, I guess, that I've really seen play out and be true time and time again. Now, that can be, when you first hear that can be a little bit overwhelming. It's a bit like, oh, okay, so really a lot of what's happened to me is down to me. And I'm here to say, yeah, it is. However, what it also does when you take a step back and think about it is it puts the power back in your hands, because you, and only you really, can decide what beliefs you are going to hold on to. And if you've got the tools, you can change whatever your existing beliefs are. You can put in some new beliefs which are much more empowering. Things like, yeah, I'm in love with being a rock star, like present tense affirmation, I am. Put it like right there as if you've got it already. Those I am affirmations are really, really good. You could have something like, I believe I am a world-class musician. And all right, you might not have it, especially if you can't sing, you might not have that yet, but it will set you on the path to gaining the skills to be able to say that. So it's kind of like an affirmation that will lead you in the right direction. And it's certainly much more supportive than I believe I can't sing, or whatever it might be. Okay, so all of those beliefs are going to need to be identified, rooted out and changed. You can elicit most of them yourself on a pad and a piece of paper. Others might come forth as you work, but hopefully that will give you enough information to at least get started with it. And if you do want any other support, if you don't feel you're kind of quite getting to the bottom of it, hey, that's what I do, that's what I'm here for. I'll put my details at the end of the video, and I'd love to help you with a discounted taster session to give you a feeling for the work, see if we can't help you move forward a little bit in that. And yeah, I really wish you much luck in finding and living your life purpose. Thanks for watching.